right. Suikoden 2 has been conquered. And, what a game. What a game. I think that pretty much sums up a lot of things that I gotta say is, what a game. Overall thoughts. I like the game. I like it a lot. It's a very interesting thing to play a game that isn't really all too remarkable in of itself, and then shortly afterwards, whatever time period is necessary, you play the sequel to that game, and it's just phenomenal at how improved it is compared to the first or to the previous entry or what have you. And this game really does excel at that. Suikoden 1 was just okay. It was average. It didn't really do anything special. It served its purpose, but it wasn't better than every other RPG out there, but it wasn't worse than every RPG out there. It was just average. So, Suikoden 2, in some respects, you could actually say, well, it continues to be average, but it's a really, really good game. It improves on everything of the first game, and that's mainly what I was looking for this game, is just to have a really, really fun time with the changes, and I'm happy with that outcome. I have here, glad I started with Suikoden 1 to fully appreciate how far the game went. Nearly every complaint, if not every complaint about Suikoden 1 was fixed, tweaked, or reworked entirely. So that was a fun thing. I think the only other game that I've had that happen to me was Kingdom Hearts 1 to Kingdom Hearts 2. There are night and day differences in how good the improvements are, and it's really, really nice to actually play another game that kind of approaches improvements in a similar way. The same level of improvement that's akin to Kingdom Hearts 1 transitioning to Kingdom Hearts 2. Massive improvement. Wow, I'm just getting a little ahead of myself, and I got stuff written down. And then I mentioned this in my thoughts video of Suikoden 1, where I was mentioning that the developer of Dragon's Dogma said that game was one of the most influential games that nobody's ever copied. And I really, really like this particular statement from this developer, because there are a lot of big games out there, whether they have the sales or they have the fans or they're just cult classics, And, what are the criteria for what makes a game great? And when you think about that criteria, does a game need to have critical success for it to be one of the most influential games ever? Off the top of my head, I can't really think of any games that copy Suikoden as far as formula. There's not really any war games out there that have I would say a respectable focus on story and world building. It's not very common. So I really do appreciate what this game does, but just that quote really does open up a lot of doors of, okay, how good is this game in the grand scheme of things? And how does it influence everything else after it. So I'm just fascinated by that, and I want to try to like think of that as I play future games. You know, how did this game influence other games? Um, let's see. For the story, was it satisfying? Well, I think I'm gonna say unfortunately no. And I'm not. I don't really want to say this in a bad way because I I like the story, but I think they didn't they didn't approach Jowie and Ryu's friendship dynamic in the way that I thought would have worked out the best. You know, they didn't really play us against each other enough. They didn't give us enough interactions with each other that actually mattered. And a lot of them were just kind of random. They separated us for very important moments. And I just think we needed to spend at least a little bit more time together, or we needed um or well something, you know, I'm gonna get to that in a second, as a matter of fact. But I think ultimately it wasn't as satisfying, but it could have been there. And yes, I did not get like the best endings or whatever, but at the same time, an average player is probably not going to get the best ending on their first try. So, you know, you got to take the experience that you got. Did it feel complete? Well, with the ending that I got, I'm going to actually say no, but I do actually want to see if the game will let me uh, go to that one spot and see if Jowie's there, because that would actually change my opinion here a little bit on how I feel about the story, because there's no resolution with Jowie the way things turned out for me. You know, I thought he was going to be the final boss. I thought we were going to get some final dialogue, something. So it looks like I actually can leave. So we're going to go check him out. Thoughts on the pacing? I thought the pacing was actually pretty solid. I wasted a lot of my time, which sucks in the grand scheme of things, and slows things down significantly. But it really wasn't that big of a deal in the long run, I suppose. So pacing was fine. My general thoughts on the story. Much more detail, especially in emotional moments compared to Suikoden 1. For example, not knowing if Jowie would return after fighting off Raud in the camp. This was a really nice moment that I appreciate so much. This game went out of its way to give us some of these nice moments, and I appreciate it a lot. It it definitely had a much bigger emotional impact than any other, well, than Suikoden 1. I was gonna say any other Suikoden game, but I've only ever played one Suikoden game, so there's that. NPC side quests, or NPCs get side quests, which are a nice touch. I was actually very happy with that. There's like this Clive side quest that's like a speed run type of dynamic, which is really cool. There's some other characters that, you know, you just talk to them. You know, it's cool. I think Suikoden 1 has like a side quest or two, or, you know, maybe a few. Maybe I missed a bunch, but it's really cool seeing them put a little bit more emphasis on the recruits. Jowie changing sides was one of those, I'm guessing this is going to happen, but I don't want this to happen moments. I liked his character a lot. Jowie was really cool. I do wish that we got I do wish that we got a little bit more from him, because I, I wanted more of an explanation. You know, what are you doing, Jowie? Why are you doing what you're doing? We just got kind of, you know, it's my destiny kind of responses, and that doesn't really fit Jowie in my opinion, I guess. I figured he wouldn't be so mystical with his answers. Um, it doesn't really seem like him. Um, see, the ghost wolf head magic thing was a little strange in Muse. I'm gonna stand by this. I didn't like that. It was a little off the wall. And wow, we still can't do nothing here. There was one final side quest. Talking to the tree behind your childhood home. I will go there. Um, I recognized it was a part of this like beast rune, and I guess Luca Blight wanted to release the beast rune uh, on the world or whatever. And I guess that's fine. But we didn't really get much information about the beast rune, and so it just kind of stood out. It didn't need to be there, and furthermore, it didn't need to be the final boss. Did I inspect the runk? I tried to. It didn't do anything, but I will try again. Got nothing but time. Let me see. The 1v1 battle with Luca didn't make much sense in the context of the story. Ryu arrives with 5 party members, archers trained on Luca from a distance, and for some reason we get pulled into a 1v1 battle, for someone so important and for a war that just needs to end. A 1v1 battle should have never happened. That just kind of boggles my mind. And I don't know, maybe you need 108 stars or something like that to trigger it, but nothing happening. So yeah, I thought this 1v1 battle was kind of out of place. Maybe if Ryu arrived there first and we just fought Luca, I would get it. But, obviously that didn't occur. That Luca Blight battle should have been Ryu and party fighting him and him dying that way. Luca Blight's death is bittersweet. He dies in a great way, but at the same time, essentially gets outsmarted by a child. It's a nice twist to solidify Jowie being the villain, however. I did like this particular sequence, but I have something written later on, which is actually next, which is perhaps Luca Blight should have died much later in the game. Ever since Luca died, Jowie's intentions and presence in the game doesn't feel important or great. There's little desire to kill Jowie, which is probably the intention, but the motivation to stop Luca is so much more powerful. Whether intentional or not, trying to stop Jowie drags the story. I think basically what I mean by that is that Luca Blight is a horrible guy. He wants to do horrible things to the world, and we get to see him do horrible things. And that gives us plenty of motivation to go kill him. But then when Jowie takes over, it kind of changes the dynamic of how you feel about the story, because now you don't want to go fight and kill Jowie. You want to rescue him. But the game is not giving you the option to rescue him. It's always pulling you away from that. So it's just trying to tell you, like, you need to kill your friend, but it's not giving you a proper motivation to kill your friend, because it's always kind of pushing you towards that moment and then tugging you away. You get plenty of opportunities to kill Jowie, but you never do it. I don't want to say like it's a time wasting problem, but there's just an issue with it, I guess. All right, so you said the tree behind the childhood home. they're talking about this tree. Ain't nothing here. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Life is hard. A big tree? Let's see. The story did a good job at the beginning with how they treated Joey and how they approached his betrayal. However, as the game continued to run, the conflict between Joey and Ryu grew distant, possibly on purpose, but the most powerful moments were Joey and Ryu trying to understand each other. I think they did a really, really good job. Just trying to make Joey feel, more human, but I guess it just wasn't really working out for me. I don't know. This tree. I didn't know this tree was here. There is nothing here. Yeah. Nothing there. Oh well. Oh. 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 Yeah, I wish they did something different. With Joey in particular. But the moments that they did give us were nice. So I do have to give them props there. Let me see. Do choices in the game matter? Choices in the first game didn't really matter all too much. And I kind of want to say they don't really make that much of a difference in this game either. Yeah, some choices do matter, but like if I were to approach the game from a general standpoint, I just want to say, as a whole, do choices matter? I think I would say they largely do not. And at the same time, that is fine. This is a game from 1996. So we don't need, this branching Dragon Age story where choices change how the story develops and things like that. It's an old game. What did this come out on? Like the PlayStation 1 or something? I don't know, but it doesn't need that. But at the same time, if you're going to put choices in your game, you would at least think that those choices should be meaningful and should matter. So yeah, I'll have to talk to the people in my meeting hall to get Joey to appear. Hear the offer and reject it. Aha. Okay. I will go do that because I want to see this scene. Let me see. And then this part. This Suikoden part. Nanami's death is unfortunate, but I'm glad there is a way to save her even if I couldn't. I really like Nanami. She's my favorite character. As a matter of fact, if I just jump ahead a little bit, Nanami is such a wonderful character. She really does brighten up the story and make things feel more realistic and grounded. She was absolutely wonderful. And, it's fine that she actually died towards the end of the game. But I just really, really liked Nanami. She was absolutely fantastic. And I really hope that for future Suikoden games, I can see I can see another character like her that has as much personality as her. Doesn't have to be the same character traits and things like that, but um, I I I want another Nanami basically. She's fantastic. And then here's something. This is just me being inquisitive. Not a good thing or a bad thing, but the Shu's intelligence hurt the narrative of this game. When you think about all the wars and the fighting, do you think Shu is too smart? Because when I was thinking about this, I thought to myself like, Shu really does get you out of a lot of situations. And he's really, really intelligent about things. But like, I feel like that also does minimize the intelligence of the enemy in some cases. Because every time the enemy does something smart, Shu kind of sees through it and gets you through that particular moment. So that's kind of a tragic thing. Doxatan was smart too, but they have the background. Yeah, I mean they definitely have, or they're definitely they definitely have reason to be smart. It's just sometimes a character feels too smart, which may detract from the game. I don't know if I'd say it happens here, but it was an interesting thing that I thought of that I wanted to, I guess, delve into just a little bit. And then the last thing for the story under the little character section I have, Jowie or Joey. You can let me know in chat how you pronounce his name. I said Jowie. Nobody corrected me in chat, which was amazing. The game tried to correct me by spelling his name differently on numerous occasions. But I'm gonna have to say I like the name Jowie. It's most likely not his name, but I like the name Jowie, and it stands out to me, I guess. You don't think you've ever heard Joey? Really? Wow, that's fascinating. Onwed says, how to explain Jowie's motivations. The Black Sword Rune constantly pushes its user to attack the Bright Sword Rune user. It's a recreation of the creation of the Suikoden universe, the sword and shield clashing to break one another. Furthermore, Jowie has the same motivation as I do, to end the war as quickly as possible, so no two-state solution, but one united land. I did get that part of it, at least like they want to create one united land, but don't you think them joining forces would do a better job of that? Oh, I don't know. They never really had a discussion amongst each other of like, why can't we join forces? Why can't we unite the two lands that we are currently ruling and work together and combine them? You know, it doesn't matter who rules them as long as they both have the same intention. And it seemed like they both did. Hyland would never stand down if he tried to urge it to. He's a prince who walks on pins and needles. The only solution is to get the city-states to join with Hyland as bloodlessly as possible, hence the Muse ambush. He's not there to kill you, he just wants you to step down. He approached it in the wrong way. I mean, obviously, you know, we could always talk about how the story could have been better or approached differently. And, you know, at the end of the day, the story was fine. But I like the way he was approaching this takeover in an antagonistic way, which I guess makes sense for the rune manipulating him. But I do wish they, I guess, tugged on those plot points just a little bit more. It would have been nice, I guess, but you know, whatever. And some choices do matter, like killing Kwanda. You can't recruit him. Won't change the story, but it does change scenes and recruitable. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, ultimately that choice like doesn't matter in the long run, but it it is a choice that, or let me rephrase. It doesn't matter in the sense of it affects the story, but it is a choice that has meaning to it, and so that does count. I'm going the wrong way like usual. Um, let's see. And you're not sure about it, but you think you have to go to the meeting hall? Okay, yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. So I'll go ahead and move on to gameplay mechanics and design. And Shelly thought it was going to be Joey. I'm gonna stick in my my Jowie camp, I guess. I need to go watch some other videos and just see how people pronounce his name. That'll be an interesting thing to do. So what gameplay elements stand out? So I kind of listed a bunch of changes here from Suikoden 1. For example, Unite Attack visuals. Those are totally different than any other, or than the first Suikoden game. Spell visuals are totally revamped and look so nice. Item management. I said the biggest thing that I disliked about Suikoden 1 was the item management, and they did a really good job of improving it in this game. I still don't like that there's an item and equipment menu. I think they could still merge those and just put everything under items. But I guess I get it in some way. Oh, there's a best equip? Oh my gosh. I did not know that. I did not know that. All right. They did a really good job with item management. It's not perfect, but it's so much better than Suikoden 1, and that means everything to me. They also changed the way party management works, and I appreciate that a lot as well. You can move people back and forth in rows and whatnot, and it's nice. As a matter of fact, I'll even add on there that they give some people options like Luke to be able to attack from the back line if you have certain runes and things like that. Not very good, and you probably shouldn't be using it, but I appreciate the options. You can now see what spells do. Can you believe it? It was one of the things that bugged me quite a bit in the first Suikoden game. Is, you know, you get these new runes, and you're like, well, I got some new spells. I guess I gotta just guess what they do because the game doesn't tell me. You know, see what runes do. Isn't that great? Isn't that wonderful? I love it. You can only have 3 miscellaneous slots to equip to. They can either be extra equipment, like gloves or boots, items like medicine, or consumable spells. Alright, I'm gonna read this. Take a break from the thoughts. Ryu, you came. Just like you promised. Here we are. Here once again. This is where our journey began. You and I walked along the same path for so long together. This is where they began to diverge. But I have no regrets. But if I did, it would be that I had to betray the city-state and assassinate Lady Annabelle. Well, assassinate her. You and I were a lot alike. We were both aiming for the same thing, but I just... At the Highland camp, after I let you both to escape ahead, I was captured and met Luca Blight again. I hated him from the beginning, it's true, but I think I admired his strength a little bit too. I thought if I was that strong, I could protect everyone, I could create a gentle world where nobody would ever be hurt. But no, forget about it. This is a battle between the King of Highland and the leader of the Dragon Army. This is truly the final battle. I guess you're right. I don't want to fight right now. And I feel like the second option needs to be done just based off of all the stuff that I've mentioned thus far in my thoughts. But I feel like it's just gonna all point to this anyways. No? I guess you're right. Yeah. Wow, they're actually gonna let me fight him too. He's gonna let me win. That's your strength, Ryu. He's gonna let me win. Never mind. He's gonna body me. Bad move, Ryu. That'll get you hurt. Ah, darn. Getting bodied. Why won't you fight, Ryu? I'm gonna pull a Genkaku. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I guess it won't matter, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna lose. Ryu, why won't you do it? I'm the king of Highland. I fought the dragon army and killed many of your friends, and Nanami too. Ryu, you have to. You have to fight for your fallen comrades, all the people. Even so, I can't. Are you going to betray all the people who've pinned their hopes on you? Are you going to betray the dreams of your sister Nanami, who protected you? This is nice. Here goes Ryu. I'm totally Genkakuing this. Like father, like son. I dig it. Yeah. Ryu, I was always jealous of you. There's something about you, always so strong and gentle. It's all that I ever wanted, to be loved by everyone just like you were. That's why. Jowie! I just used too much power. The beast rune that Luca tried to free. I had to use my black sword rune to stop it. Our two runes together, they make a true rune. But if you use it by itself, it takes your life. Ryu, I'm gonna die anyway. So I give you my life, so the two can become one again. Ryu, your right hand. Hey, Jowie. Both of us, we fought for what we believed, for the peace that is to come. You defeated me and severed the Blight family bloodline. The kingdom of Highland is no more. History will record for eternity how a single great hero managed to defeat the evil king of Highland. People will all talk and sing about your heroic rise to fame and forgot the horrors and the sins of war. The defeated soldiers too will feel comforted by the fact that they were defeated by a hero and deceived by an evil king. Ryu, I want you to become a great leader. Hold on dearly to this peace that we fought so hard for. The rune, it will lend you its power, I'm sure of it. Farewell, my friend, Ryu. Dang. 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 So, we go back to that. All right. So, I mentioned the 3 miscellaneous slots, and I think this is a step down from the first game, but the system itself is fine. So, I guess I'll take that. Let's see here. When dealing weapon rune damage or auto-recovering HP, they each have their own special animations which take up additional time in combat. And, you know, just an obnoxious thing. It's an old game, so having multiple things happen on screen at once, probably not, the most productive thing in the world. code and whatnot. So, you know, whatever. War. Huh, this one might be a little controversial. War battles aren't fun. They are more complex and ultimately hurt the game. Defeating units isn't straightforward, and battles can take a very long time with something that seems very simple on the surface. I was very disappointed with the war battles in this game. The first game's war battles weren't spectacular, but at least I could understand the mechanics and how things worked. You know, it was very I don't know how I want to put it, but it was very obvious how things needed to go. I needed to counter the enemy. I have all these special people to help me defeat the enemy. In this game, if I have 15 attack and I attack a guy that has 7 attack or 7 defense, I don't know what's going to happen. You know, I could do damage, I could not do damage, and I don't know what goes into how that's calculated or how it works. And in situations where I'm fighting against people that have like 16 defense or 12 defense, you know, I could be sitting there for a very long time trying to do damage. And it's kind of obnoxious. So wasn't a fan of the war battles. Recruiting 108 characters is still really cool. Having so many playable party members adds a ton of diversity. I love this concept. It's great. There's so many characters to recruit, you know, it's just what could be better? 109 characters, I guess. I don't know. The inclusion of Richmond was fantastic, although he was only for characters that you have already met or heard about. I greatly appreciate this inclusion into the game. I do wish it was a little bit more inclusive with all the characters, but you know, you take what you can get. I didn't get Nanami's valuable runes when she died. This is kind of like one of those get bodied moments. In Suikoden 1, when Gremio died, I didn't get his runes, and now Nanami dies in this game and I didn't get her runes, and I feel like the game is trying to tell me something. For combat, an interesting thing that I was thinking of is where was the combat improved in this game versus the first one, or did it just stay the same? Because I think the combat in Suikoden 1 and 2 are very similar. So similar, in fact, that you might be able to say that they're just identical. And you know, if that's the case, the combat is just fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with the combat. But is there anywhere to improve the combat other than, you know, more flashier spells and improved spell animation times and skippable animations and things like that? But like the combat itself, is there any way to improve that? That's something that I wasn't able to think of. I actually have the last rune spell here. No, I don't. Well, it says I have access to it, but I guess I don't. Let's see. Boss mechanics seem to lack variety. Each boss attacks twice, has a nasty AoE attack, and a withstandable single target attack. This is not necessarily a negative. It's just an observation. I do kind of wish that there were a little bit more variety in the bosses, but for the most part, it's fine. You know, some bosses get spells, some bosses don't. Some bosses hit hard, some bosses don't. Well, you know, there's... that's just the way JRPGs and RPGs go. Free will continues to be great. However, I wish there was a little bit of customization. I actually really wish that you could set an action, like a default action for your free will for a character that can be changed in combat. So when I'm going through a dungeon and I select free will, instead of like Luke defending, maybe he casts Flame Whip or something like that. Just an interesting idea that I'd like to see for future games, even though I don't think it's going to happen. Dungeons, I didn't really have any favorites. Nothing was annoying except for recruiting Mason, and because I had to go through that dungeon a million times. Nothing was inflated by backtracking. As a matter of fact, I don't think there was very much backtracking in this game at all, which was quite nice. We were moving forward despite me going to the same places over and over again, for like recruiting purposes and things like that. Let's see, practical dungeon design stuff. I don't like the final castle is probably the closest that I would go there. Didn't seem to really be very castle-y. A lot of long corridors that didn't link up with. It was a big castle, I guess. So, whatever. Cardinal sins. Technically, Nanami dies and you don't get a replacement for her, and that is technically a cardinal sin. However, this game has 108 recruitable people and probably has 50 to 60% of those people, well, probably less than that, but that's a large chunk of that 108 people being usable party members. That's a lot of party members. You have options. You don't need Nanami. So, because you have the options, you can replace Nanami with anybody basically, and her role in combat is going to be filled. I'm gonna strike out that particular cardinal sin and say it's fine. So no cardinal sins. For sound, the music, I like the music. Very, very solid. Some nice, memorable tracks. I'm happy with it. The only downside is some of the music doesn't play in the army battles. And that's where the music is desperately needed, because those army battles take a very long time and you're just sitting there in silence. It's kind of rough. For voice acting, we have another silent protagonist. There's no voice acting in the game, but I still continue to not be a silent protagonist fan. I still struggle with seeing the purpose, I don't understand the value of a silent protagonist, I guess. And I think in 2020, that's where I'm going to solidify that as a cardinal sin for me. I just don't like silent protagonists. I think this game would have been 10 times more emotional if Ryu actually talked, you know? The only time he talks is during his decisions. But even then, it's not enough. For graphics, the sprites look super good. Like, super good. Tons of in-betweens and unique animations that are very enjoyable to see. This game, I don't think I've ever seen a game quite like this when it comes to its sprite animations. Xenogears, I think is, you could say Xenogears is very similar to this, but I'm kind of setting Xenogears aside because I consider the sprite work here a little bit different. But I guess it's technically the same. But I really do appreciate the sprite work in this game. Like Joey cuts his hand and the blood goes into the goblet. That's, who does that? So really, really happy to see that stuff. Replay value. I'm gonna say this game has replay value. If you're playing this game for the first time, you're most likely not going to recruit all 108 characters. And I think for a game like this, recruiting all the characters is a fun experience in of itself. And to get the final best ending, I think that's worth another playthrough for somebody. So I would say that this does have replay value. I personally don't think I will go about to replay it, just because ultimately I don't value an ending being a different ending being worth uh, uh, a replay. But like, if you didn't recruit all the characters, then I think that is worth replaying the game for. And the bonus there is you get the best ending, what have you. Nothing in other. So I would say if the developer is watching, this game improves on Suikoden 1 so much. From the storytelling to the mechanics, it felt really good to experience the progression between both games. I've been really, really happy with just how this game plays out. As far as the progression and the improvements, it's really phenomenal, honestly. I'm hoping that Suikoden 3 really does improve upon Suikoden 2. I guess I know based off of some chat experiences that it's good in some areas, needs some work in other areas. So it's probably not a technical improvement from Suikoden 2. It might be a step down, but I am looking forward to actually seeing how the series progresses. So Suikoden 3 is definitely a game I'm eagerly awaiting to play. But that's going to basically wrap it up for my thoughts. Just to recap again, overall, I do think Suikoden 2 is a pretty good game. I don't know if I would say it ranks in my all-time favorites. I think the game does what it does well, but I don't think it stands out on like anywhere but the story, I guess. If I were to compare it to Xenogears, I think Xenogears has a combat that's really, really interesting and a story that is extremely interesting. And I think this game just has a story that's really interesting. So yeah. But I'm not trying to take away from Suikoden 2. I actually think it's, like I said, a really good game. So there you have it. Yeah. I'm gonna wrap up this thoughts video. Thanks for watching.